Thank you for joining us on the Agora stage once again, and 4 years from now, 2022. We've just been talking about fintech, DeFi, how finance and technology are moving forward and creating new models for the world to work on one level. Now it's time for us to turn towards education and education technology. Here to talk about maybe some of the lessons that we've learned over the last couple of years with regards to how education can be delivered remotely, online platforms, and to talk about what may be coming next. Please join me in welcoming the Associated Professor at Esade, Esade Almirai. Esade.
Thank you so much and welcome. I'm in this terrible spot between you and the lunch, but I will try to be short. Well, we are going to talk about education. Education has been disrupted since quite some time. Education has been, but we didn't see this disruption. Why we didn't see this disruption? We didn't see it because one, it's slow, and second, much of our education is accredited. And accredited is held very tightly by the law, by the legislation. And this change very slow. But if we look at other parts of education, if we look at executive education, technical education, professional education, we see a tremendous amount of disruption. I want to present you what maybe is the next wave of this disruption. And the next wave of this disruption in one of these many experiments look like this, is the metaverse. And the metaverse right now is pretty cute. It's pretty simple. It doesn't have the richness that probably we have in a few years. So one question is this the future of education? Of course, it has another side. And some people think that this is not, that this way of looking at education looks more like this than before. Every coin has two sides. So let's try to see first how we arrive to this point and what is beyond this point. And the first thing in the beginning, there were the MOOCs. The MOOCs changed many things. And we know the MOOCs because, well, this was the first one in 2011. It was a MOOC done by Peter Norvig, that is the chief scientist in Google. And in this MOOC, it was a complete surprise because in 2011, they had 160,000 students. Like in any MOOC, only 20% of the students finished, but 20% at that time was quite a lot. By the way, you still have it in Udacity, the same MOOC with the same people, with Peter Norvig and Sebastian Thorn. 1 year later, 1 year after, Coursera started. And Coursera has been a huge success. 92 million people have enrolled in Coursera. It's something that nobody had ever imagined. And more than 150 universities, more than 4,000 courses. And now Coursera is doing Coursera for governments, Coursera for business, Coursera for campus. So many different ways. And these, probably all of us have been in one of several of Coursera courses. And maybe many of us didn't finish all the courses that we started. That's very normal in this kind of education. This has been the most successful course in Coursera. And this most successful course had 4,600,000 students enrolled and only 20% complete. But that's quite a big fate anyway. And after that, the same year, a little bit later, came edX. And edX was also incredible. edX was a different proposition than Coursera. Is most of the main universities that we have, many of them, you know them. But again, 34 million. And edX, the proposition has a very interesting part because many of the courses of edX are valid for credit in these same universities. So it was the first incarnation of what probably is the future of education, becoming a platform. Ivan that is here knows a lot about that. So what happened after edX? This was the beginning of the MOOCs. You may say this didn't have much of impact in normal classes, in normal education. It did. it changed a lot of things, even in accredited education. And most of the things that happened was a reproduction of these courses of the MOOCs inside the universities, in the SPOCs, the small private online courses. And this happened in many universities, also in Esade. And well, I didn't want to embarrass anybody, and then I put some of my content. I'm, of course, not the best professor in Esade, not the best content professor. Hopefully, I'm not the worst either. So you can see how this kind of content changed a lot because of the MOOCs. And this is some of the courses, and this is an intro of one of the courses that I teach in Esade. This has been a phenomenon, going from the bullet PowerPoints to this kind of interactive content. Not only that, with pools in class, with rich interaction that happened everywhere in all universities, in our university too. And not only that, not only this tremendous change in terms of contents, but also many other changes. Changes like, many other changes. Changes like the use of online content. Let's see if that works. Okay. And in Esade, for example, we have been for quite some time highlighted at one of the most innovative universities or business schools in Latin America. And this is because this change. The change has been made by the MOOCs and accelerated tremendously because of COVID. And this was the private online content. And this, again, is an example of one of my courses. We have other courses, not only this one. And they are supported, in this case, with a WhatsApp group. So the impact was great, was important. But what is coming is probably more important than what we have seen so far. And what is coming is probably the metaverse. And let me introduce a friend of mine, that is Frank Piller. And he is Frank Piller. Frank Piller is a professor in RWTH in Aachen, and is a researcher in open innovation and mass customization, and we know since many years. And he is Frank Piller. And Frank Piller is working with avatars, with virtual reality, augmented reality, since quite some years in Aachen. And this is his introduction. We all have introductions. Many of us, we have introductions in video, and this is his introduction in the metaverse with avatars. You see that with avatars, you can do things that probably you cannot do in real life. Yes, wait a second, and here it is, Frank Piller. Okay, so this is the type of interaction that you have in these cute environments, still cute environments that are like the metaverse, and this is again RWTH in Aachen. And you can see you have rich experience because you can see the inside of things. Imagine the possibilities that you have for that in things like anatomy, in things like engineering, quite a lot of opportunities that you have to have a rich discussion, and also experimentation using virtual walls. I mean, in the chemistry lab, you don't have to destroy the wall anymore. I mean, you can destroy only the virtual wall. And this is how it works. The experience in the metaverse is different, but the experience for the professor and for the students, it's quite different. It's with headsets still, and this will change a lot once we have very small headsets that are more with better resolutions than the one we have. This implies that professors, that instructors are going to change quite a lot. Are going to change the way that they teach, the way that they interact, and the way they prepare courses, and the possibilities that you have in this course preparation. Now, let's see. So many changes. From this type of interaction, we will go to this type of
Welcome
interaction.
to
So that's a very, very different way. Which one is better? Do we have something more than that?
welcome to
And there is a study from PwC that has some initial data. And here we have some of the data. And the data is compelling. The first number, 4 times, it's 4 times faster to transmit the contents. Transmitting contents in online is way faster than transmitting contents in normal environments. But 4 times, it's a lot. And we have to think about why this happens. The other number is 275% more in terms of applying these skills. And one very interesting is almost 4 times, 3.75 more emotionally connected. And this is one of the visions behind the metaverse. We can be present, even virtually, we can feel this present because all our senses are immersed in this environment. And 4 times more focused than in terms of online. Here you have a very interesting and very compelling. One of the things that we want in education is to be efficient. We don't want to spend weeks in things that can be trained in hours. That's the opposite what we want. We want an efficient education that is able to assimilate and transmit much of the knowledge in the shortest time, in the best way. We have seen that with e-learning, learning is way more efficient than the classroom, but also we have seen that virtual reality is even more efficient than e-learning. And this is another issue. One of the big problem that we have with e-learning is interaction. How do you translate the interaction that we have as humans, the discussion? And that brings not only the interaction and discussion, that brings our capacity of being safe discussing these issues. How we translate that to our students. And again, it seems that the metaverse is able to do this translation. Being connected, being emotionally connected to the contents, it's probably the biggest surprise that we have with this type of environments. I mean, people are really connected. People feel present in this metaverse. And this is part of the explanation behind the numbers. And of course, there is a second part of the explanation, that there is no second or third or fourth screen. I mean, you have these classes and you have to focus on what you have. So there is no opportunity to deal with the second and third and fourth screen. And this is also part of the explanation. So these are the 2 different worlds. And the 2 different worlds means also a change for universities and a change for everybody. This is the path that we follow. You may think this is the only thing. Well, no. There is one more thing. It's not only the metaverse. There is one more vector that is going to interact very much in this future of education. And you may guess the new vector. The new vector is called AI. It's called all artificial intelligence in all the various forms, from assistants to smart content, tutors, chatbots, you name it. Many different ways. But there is one that is probably very interesting. And this one is personalized education. This is one of the optimistic slides that people do some years ago. And then you are in 2022 and, well, the world is not there. But, well, slides sometimes are optimistic. So you have, what is the difference with personalized education? Well, students don't have to follow the same path. Students can choose the path that is better for them. If somebody learns faster things, they don't have to wait for the others. And if somebody is slower and needs more repetition or more insistent in things that the others didn't learn, they can insist on these things. To all of us, this happened, and this happened quite a lot. There is more. And this is a video of teaching Mandarin. It's a Chinese video and so on. You have to imagine this in the metaverse, and not only with this circular screen and so on, but with globes and so on. You will see the possibilities of having an AI tutor, the huge possibilities of having AI tutor. Mandarin is a quite complicated language and has 5 levels of intonation. English has only 3 levels of intonation, but Mandarin has 5. And one of the most complicated things for people to get into Mandarin is to get well these 5 levels of intonation that change the meaning of a word. And here you can see how the AI tutor can show you graphically what are you doing wrong in the pronunciation of Mandarin. Of course, we will see many other cases. And this is one of the cases, the use of robots and so on. Many of them will be failures. And this is probably one that is not a very successful case
students in Hunter's
yet.
classes aren't supposed
But
to memorize
innovation,
material.
it's about that.
Instead,
It's about
they're
diversity.
instructed
It's
to
about
use their
trying
tablets,
many things
mobiles, and
that
computers
most
to
of
find
them
information
will
offline.
fail. And again, this is a
This-
class in Germany. So let's summarize. You have seen and you will see many experiments and many things in these 2 worlds, in the old classroom world and in the new metaverse. One question, and it's a legitimate question, is this going to scale? Is this going to be big enough in order to change education? Or it will be just one more experiment that is going to be very successful, but just one more experiment? Well, let me discuss for a second the 3 conditions that you need for things to scale. I mean, the first condition is that you have a compelling proposition that works. And we have seen that the metaverse in education works, and works better than e-learning, and works better than classroom. So you have a compelling proposition. But this is not enough to scale. The second thing that you need to scale is that the economics work. And yes, the economics work the same way that e-learning works. It's the same type of economics. Only e-learning starts lower. Everybody can do a video. And then in the metaverse, you need a few more tools than a simple video. But once you reach these tools, and then once you have a mass of students, the economics are the same. And it's completely different from the economics that you have at university. At university, you have one professor, 20, 60, maybe 300 students, that's all. In e-learning, we have seen 200,000 students, 160,000 students, 5 million students. It's the same economics in the metaverse. But you need a third thing for things to scale. Can you compete? Is this going to be able to compete? And of course, legislation, regulation, and so on, it's drag in this evolution. But look, in traditional education, you compete with your contents. In the metaverse is the ideal way to compete with your contents and the contents of the others to become a platform. Education is poised to become a platform. It will not be anymore only the contents generated by the universities themselves. It will be the contents of everybody that the universities will probably curate and give credibility in order to become a global contents. Thank you. Thank you so much.